With the World Cup in full swing, let's take a look at some of Family Guy's greatest sporting moments, from the impressive to the downright embarrassing. And what better place to start than with the most talked about sport at the moment, soccer, or as the rest of the world angrily reminds us, football. It's a sport that Stewie actually found great success in when he started attending a Jewish private school in Family Guy.
Today we're gonna play soccer.
And just like that, a legend was born. Get this kid to the World Cup stage, stat. He might be the best in the school, but something tells me if he were to go out against any World Cup team, or any soccer team for that matter, he'll have a performance similar to that breakdancer Ray Gun from the Olympics.
Huh, that was easy.
But the thing about soccer is that it makes for a great pickup game. All you need is a ball, a goal, and a female escort you can use as a goalie, as seen in the dating game.
Perhaps we can make other arrangements.
I guess if you need someone who's going to be a good ball handler, you might as well go to someone who, well, I'm not going to say it, but you already know what I mean. I guess if you paid for the whole hour, you're going to get the full hour, but they should really consider cycling positions. If you think she's good with her hands, just wait until you see what she can do with her feet. In the context of soccer, of course.
Hey, do you think I could try to kick one?
No, you're all-time goalie.
But not everyone is destined to be as talented at the game as a streetwalker, which is something Chris found out when he was heckled by onlookers in Mind Over Murder.
Go, Chris! Daddy loves you!
I mean that in a platonic way. I'm married.
You think having a drunk dad on the sidelines cheering you on would make you a better player? Okay, you might not actually be thinking that, but if the vibes are good, surely that would translate into some skill, right? Well, not for Chris.
Handball! Penalty kick, blue!
That's the 10th time today! Nice grab, Orca!
Well, geez, if you're only supposed to use your feet, maybe they should have given soccer a different name that would better illustrate that. But no one disrespects Peter's terrible, talentless kid. Them's fighting words, and when you're in the stands with a little bit of beer flowing through you, the American urge to get into a fight takes over.
Oh, that's it!
Way to go, Dad!
But the show hasn't just referenced the sport itself, as they've also represented some of its stars and their infamous moments, like imagining it would be if Zinedine Zidane did birthday telegrams in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes?
Bon anniversaire.
If you weren't aware, this is in reference to the 2006 World Cup final game between France and Italy. Zidane decided to headbutt one of the Italian players in the chest near the tail end of the game, which got him a red card, an ejection from the game, and pretty much signified the end of his career. This all but handed the victory to Italy, and now it's remembered as one of the most infamous World Cup moments of all time. A headbutt to the chest is certainly a unique way to handle things on the field. I guess he realized that you couldn't use your hands whether you were playing or you were in a fight. A true professional if I've ever seen one. But as you might have seen from watching the World Cup, soccer can be a phenomenal tool for bringing people closer together. Or in Peter's case, asking for something you haven't had the courage to put into words, as seen in Boopity Boppity.
I have convinced 20,000 soccer fans to hold up a romantic message just for you.
Geez, at least buy her a nice Italian dinner first, or as they call it in Italy, dinner. It's not every day you see a grand romantic gesture like that. It's enough to bring a tear to your eye, and enough to bring a tear to Lois's eyes a little later, maybe. But this isn't actually what Peter was proposing. Some of the sign holders were just a little late on the play.
Oh, they missed a letter.
But now we enter the world of the one true football, if you happen to live in the loudest, most stubborn country. That's right, we're talking American football, which is such a cultural cornerstone that isn't always as glorious as it's made out to be, as Chris experiences firsthand in 3 Acts of God.
The NFL experience? That sounds cool.
Kid, you're the best. Sign with me and you're gonna make millions.
Of course, becoming a star football player isn't all it's cracked up to be. Sure, you'll make a ton of money, be revered as a god amongst men, and eventually become the celebrity face of a car seller, but there's a much darker sequence of events that might befall you as well.
It's his knee.
Doc!
You'll never play football again.
Too bad, kid.
It can all be taken away from you in an instant. Metaphorically, usually, but in Chris's case, he's getting the TLDR experience. It's a shame because Chris seemed like he could be a natural at the sport, considering the fact he's already had a few knocks on the head growing up.
Now I have headaches. I'm gonna save my brain for science.
And it turns out that Peter happens to be a natural for the sport as well, which is quickly noticed by Tom Brady, who recruits him to join the New England Patriots in Patriot games.
Either my esophagus just got shorter or I'm about to throw up.
So after Tom Brady witnesses Peter plow through a crowd of people, he figures he would make a great addition to the Patriots team. Being wildly belligerent is one of the requirements for becoming a football player. It might just be enough to forgive the fact that Peter is wildly out of shape and his genetic makeup is 50% butter.
Check it out! I'm married to a pro athlete! What do you think of that?
But Peter has that fighting spirit you need to be a good athlete. He's into the camaraderie, the pageantry, and the excuse to give grown men slaps on the butt. Not sure where that practice came from, but you don't need to hide behind a sport to give your homies a little tap on the bottom.
Good game, everybody. Yeah, come on, good game. Let's get out there. Let's do it. Yeah, 110%, everybody.
Okay, Peter might be a little off when it comes to what makes a good player. But if you need someone to just mindlessly barrel his way through a wall of human flesh, he's your guy. No alcohol required, surprisingly enough.
Griffin, let go!
Let's go.
While his talents as a human battering ram can't be denied, Peter hasn't exactly figured out how to turn off the athlete part of his brain when he isn't playing just yet. Showering naked with your buddies is one of those activities reserved for after practice or a game, or when the red wine gets flowing. You just gotta make sure everyone's on the same page as you.
Well, we're on the same team. We shower together.
Yeah, in the locker room.
Yeah, give
stop
me
it.
you.
Knock it
Yeah.
off.
Although he's quite the credit to the team, Brady's had it with Peter's nonsense and his incessant need to showboat during the games. Look, if you don't want someone doing a 3-minute rendition of a song from a 1960s musical, you probably should hard code that into the rulebook.
All right. I made a touchdown.
Griffin, you're fired.
This proves to be the final straw, as Peter ends up getting traded to the worst football team in the world, the London Silly Nannies. I didn't even know the British had the capacity for playing football. It's kind of like watching a fish try to climb a tree.
You give me that dirty look one more time and I have a good mind to get into my PJs and have a pillow fight with you.
Peter does his best to whip this team into shape before a scrimmage game against the Patriots, but unfortunately, it's just not in their blood. Not like American football player blood, which is filled with hormone supplements and steroids. If one of these guys bled, the blood would burn a hole right through the ground like a xenomorph.
Well, I'm still here, you so let's do this.
Peter's football days may be over, but he at least got to have his time in the sun before suffering a debilitating brain injury. Worse than the one he was already born with. And that's not Peter's only stint as a professional football player, because as we see in the Peter Principle, he also used to be a kicker.
Yay! Now I can fist bump with black guys.
Nailed it, Peter. There you go.
It must be pretty nice being a certified kicker on the team. No chance of getting a concussion, yet you still get to share in the glory of your team winning. Forget being a star quarterback, this is where the real money is. Even if you basically look like the team's ball boy.
We going to the club tonight?
Not you.
Okay.
But not everyone's built for such an intensive sport as football, which is something Stewie finds out the hard way when he joins a team to look manly in a cop and a half win.
Is that a Michael Sam jersey?
Yep, 2 boy names. Doubly masculine.
Like George Michael?
Shut up!
So after getting mistaken for a girl at the supermarket, Stewie decides he needs to up his machismo and wants to start playing football. I know it would be wildly irresponsible, but a 1-year-old football league might just be more entertaining to watch than actual football.
Ooh, my shoes have 12 little heels.
They're cleats.
Brian does his best to talk Stewie out of doing this before he gets hurt, but leave it to a Karen to throw a little trash talk his way to make him walk back his intentions. A middle-aged woman like that could be nagging me about not running into traffic, and I'd probably still do it just to spite her.
Maybe you should put short stack in a tutu.
No, you know what, Stewie? Get the hell out on that field.
Your reputation in the eyes of strangers will always be worth more than your health and safety. But despite Brian's insistence, the coach is more content with Stewie being a bench warmer given how small he is. Brian eventually convinces him to let Stewie play, and it goes about as well as you'd expect.
All right, and nobody's blocking.
Oh my God, Stewie!
So he got a little bop on the noggin. It's not like toddlers need to take extra special care of that area or anything. I'm sure he'll be fine. Concussions usually dissipate without any lasting side effects.
Is anybody gonna answer that telephone?
He keeps thinking the phone is ringing, Brian.
Well, at least he's talking again.
But eventually Brian gets the right idea and takes Stewie to a hospital. This whole ordeal should really flare up concerns over football. If this can happen to a kid in one game, imagine what happens to someone who endures this multiple times a year. Just don't say these things out loud too often, or a pair of suits from the NFL might just end up on your doorstep.
Yet the league! You can play the music louder, but you can't silence the truth!
But it's a little surprising Stewie isn't better at football given the shape of his head. Well, as seen in The Juice is Loose, maybe he's just been playing the wrong role this entire time.
Hey, Chris, go long.
Touchdown!
Somehow, this role is even more concussion-prone, but at least Stewie will be the star of the show no matter what team wins. Plus, all those guys will be putting their fingers all over Stewie, which honestly might outweigh the constant CTE in his book. But football has the chance to be a truly fun game that doesn't have to end with everyone's brain becoming sludge. In fact, tossing the old pigskin around is a holiday tradition, which is illustrated in the episode Thanksgiving.
I'm drunk, and I'm gonna throw the football too hard at my kids.
Oh, Dad, do we have to...
It's a time-honored tradition that's used to weed out the weaklings in the family. Will you stay inside in the nice warm house where all the food is, or will you toss around a ball in the cold watching your uncles get progressively drunker and sing a side of them you'd wish you'd never seen? Which way, children?
I want you to learn about life, Chris, because in life, it's like this.
And now we move on to tennis, the only sport where it's socially acceptable to let out a grunt of ecstasy with each swing. Quagmire actually once had a pretty prolific tennis career, as seen in Tales of Former Sports Glory.
I was born into a real tennis family. On my first birthday, my mother gave me a little head.
Probably a better way to word that, but even if there were, I know he wouldn't use it. But Quagmire, eager to keep up tradition in his family, decides to get into tennis, something that his father does not mess around with.
My father was a World War II vet, so he used to make me reenact the D-Day landing with tennis ball machines.
I guess if you're gonna take sports seriously, you gotta view them as seriously as you do war. Both eventually make you develop PTSD if you're in them for too long, so I can see the comparison. But all that training pays off as Quagmire eventually makes it all the way to the US Open, creating a reputation as the bad boy of tennis.
Quagmire, I love your backhand!
That sounds like a backhanded compliment.
And he gets so good that he even manages to make it to Wimbledon and is honored with getting to play in front of Freddie Mercury. I didn't know Freddie was so into tennis. The only sport I ever heard him sing about was cycling, and he seemed to like it a lot considering he wouldn't stop talking about it.
It was an honor playing for Freddie on grass that day. He later died. The doctor said it was asphalt.
Quagmire spent many years on top of the world, but his growing temper tantrums on the court eventually led to his downfall. You can only smash your tennis racket so many times before it stops looking cool. I think like once is probably the healthy amount. Those things are not cheap, and being a tennis star isn't as cool as being a rock star, so you really gotta pace yourself.
Out.
Are you serious? You cannot be serious! I had a hard time telling if people were serious.
But things can even get heated on the private courts, something that eventually leads to the destruction of Stewie's championship aspirations in a nap a day.
Since when do you belong to a racket club?
You know, I do have a life outside this house.
So Brian decides to tag along with Stewie to see what the tennis club is all about. Kinda surprised the guy who is this obsessed with tennis balls isn't a little more invested in the game. But as it turns out, playing tennis is actually a very minor part of belonging to a tennis club.
They allow drinking here at 10:30 in the morning?
Oh yes, half the bathroom trash is thrown up scrambled eggs.
Tennis balls, alcohol, and vomit? Brian might have just stepped into his own personal heaven. And luckily, Stewie happens to be looking for a doubles partner for an upcoming tournament. He's been putting in the work, specifically with the most important part of the game, the tennis grunt. It's the telltale sign of a good player. Well, that and winning the most points. It's too bad Brian isn't putting nearly as much work into his game, not while there are mimosas to be drunk and clam chowder to be eaten at 10 in the morning.
My ex said, if you bring home one more tennis trophy, I am out of here. Well, she was gone in 2 days.
Yes, and you don't know her because she goes to another school and lives in Canada. But despite how much game Brian talks, he unsurprisingly knows very little of the game of tennis itself.
What are you doing here? You're supposed to be at the baseline.
Yeah, baseline, right.
He's serving to you. Get back there.
We knew Brian was a habitual LARPer, but I meant to believe there's not one thing he knows about this sport as a tennis ball aficionado. It's like being really into poker chips, but having no clue how to play. But with enough practice, Brian actually ends up getting the hang of it, proving to be a bit of a natural.
And I just pretend that tennis ball is Mitch McConnell trying to roll back subsidies on the Affordable Care Act.
Whatever performative, fake BS you gotta tell yourself to play good, I guess. So with Stewie and Brian's combined skills, this tournament should be a cinch. If only there wasn't something about tennis that just gets people riled up and angry. Might be because the rackets look so fun to bang against the ground.
Out. What?
Your ball was long.
Are you me? That thing was in!
Normally someone telling Stewie his ball was long would have made him think they were flirting with him, but not this time. The rage of a bad call just becomes too much for Stewie, and when he can't rein himself in, it gets them kicked out of the tournament. Well, might as well use up the show's censorship budget while you're here.
Oh, you're warning me? I'm warning you! I'm gonna go to your house and your wife!
And now we move on to the universal sport of boxing, the thing that every guy thinks they can do until they get rocked by one straight jab and hit the pavement. But guys aren't the only ones doing it, as there's an extensive market for women's boxing, something Lois dips her toes into in Baby You Knock Me Out.
Would you look at that? 2 smoking hot chicks repeatedly striking each other.
Yeah, reminds me of Thanksgiving.
So Peter's taken to a bikini boxing event for his birthday, and when the promoter opens the ring to any challengers, Peter can't help but volunteer Lois. I'm not sure what the carryover is between taijutsu and boxing, but you'd have to assume a lot of the same skills are there.
We gonna pretend to hit each other for a while, then maybe kiss a little, huh? I'm terrible.
I don't know what they were teaching you down at the dojo, Lois, but boxing is a little different. Lois doesn't want to do an actual fight, but a few punches to the face are enough to make anyone turn into a Vander Holyfield.
Okay, you little bitch, that's it. You wanna with me? Let's go.
Turns out Lois is a natural. Will this be enough to scare Peter away from making her mad? Probably not. But there just might be some money to be made in this field, and whether Lois wants to or not, Peter is more than happy to pimp her out for the fight circuit.
Hey, remember when I said I think it's hot when you wear a sports bra and gym shorts underneath your dress?
Yeah?
Now put these shoes on.
The guy might have a death wish and will likely end up with a broken neck at the bottom of a staircase, but dang if he doesn't make a compelling agent. Despite Lois's disapproval of all this, she still turns out to be a heck of a boxer, especially when she can imagine the other fighter as Peter.
Aw, what's your matter? Mad at little old me? In your imagination, I've got long eyelashes.
You wouldn't hit a guy with long eyelashes, would you? Well, Lois would, and it's the fact that she keeps doing it that takes her through the boxing circuit and makes her the greatest female fighter in Quahog's history. That is, until she ends up getting her nose broken. Surprised it took so long. That thing might as well be a giant bullseye with a neon arrow pointing towards it.
Look at me. I got a broken nose. I think this is a sign that maybe it's time to hang up the gloves.
Peter doesn't like that, but when he learns her drive is fueled by imagining she's beating him up, he realizes that maybe this isn't the healthiest path for them. He honestly probably only had a few days left to live at this rate. Those fists were bound to find the real Peter's face at some point. But when Lois tries to retire, a new challenger steps up to the plate.
Look at me, Griffin. I'm milking me a cow. Moo for me.
Moo!
Louder.
Moo!
A compelling argument to keep fighting if I've ever seen one. Who she thinks she is, coming up and trying to steal the milk that nourishes the Griffin family? So Deirdre Jackson gets her wish, and the two square off in the fight of the century. A little dramatic. The fight of the month?
You think you're tough? Well, let's see what you got.
I mean, did you really expect Alex Bornstein to revive her Loretta Brown voice and not make it worth the effort? Lois spends most of the fight getting absolutely rocked, but eventually she's able to rally and fight back, winning the fight and restoring whatever little honor Peter had before he got milked.
I love you so much!
And the winner is Lois Griffin!
And now the Loretta Brown voice is sealed away yet again for 1,000 years until a new hero rises to defeat it in the next millennium. But Peter was also a champion boxer once upon a time, with a story suspiciously pretty close to Rocky's in Tales of Former Sports Glory.
How much time you got?
We got about 7 minutes and I haven't gone yet. Rocky.
So Peter tells the story of being an up-and-coming boxer on the mean streets of Philadelphia. The training for that life is fierce. You just run through the city all day, waving at the people you know. Maybe you climb a really tall set of stairs every now and then. They don't even let you throw your first punch until you can run 12 miles.
I wanted to work the speed bag, but my gym was so cheap it didn't have one. So I had to do the noises. Duck it, duck it, duck it, duck it.
Eventually all his training pays off and he starts floating around the amateur boxing circuit. If you thought running all those miles was hard, just wait until you experience the scariest part of being a boxer, showering in front of the other boxers. We're all gentlemen here, nobody's gonna be peeking at you. Well, maybe one peek. Maybe a stare. Maybe one whole ogle.
I don't got a problem getting naked, I just don't have to change right now.
So Peter makes his way through the circuit, taking on all challengers who all happen to be puns of some kind. Part of being a sports star is having a pretty appealing nickname. The Italian Stallion, the Great One, the Big Aristotle. That was actually Shaq's nickname he tried to get across. Starring in Kazam pretty much calls all impressions that you make good decisions, though.
I defeated Lennox Lewis in the news, Evander Sallyfield, and Roberto Duran Duran.
But Peter eventually earns himself a championship title fight, and while he doesn't win, he doesn't get knocked out either. I guess in Peter's book you can call that a win, just not any book officially recognized by the World Boxing Association. It's also probably a pop-up book because, well, you know, Peter.
Tragically, I died in training. I fell into a vat of Philadelphia cream cheese and suffocated.
But the show's also seen some truly astounding boxing matchups, as the fight that was sweeping the nation in Patriot Games was the bout between multi-time boxing champion Mike Tyson and 80-year-old acting legend Carol Channing.
You've got Carol Channing, the actress, beating Mike Tyson, the boxer. Hell, give me $50 on Tyson.
But some matchups aren't as cut and dry as they appear on paper. You think a lady lives that long without being tough as nails? She's survived global wars, a depression, and movies going from silent to talking. What are a few punches from Tyson compared to that?
Come here, young man. I'm gonna bop you one.
You remember the story of the tortoise and the hare? Well, it applies here too. Sometimes you just gotta play the long game. If that means eating a few hundred punches to tire out your opponent, then so be it.
You're going down. I can't believe this. She keeps getting up. I'm so exhausted.
Sometimes it pays to bet on the underdog. So the next time you see someone with 100-to-1 odds of winning, why not throw everything you own on that bet? You're so close to hitting those diamonds.
Up yours, young people. You and your rock and roll 8-track tapes.
And now we move on to another pride and joy of American sports, baseball. Also known as the widely accepted excuse to have 9 beers and 9 hot dogs in one sitting, it's a sport that sits near and dear to Peter's heart, so much so that he takes advantage of a deserted town to live his dream of playing ball in Fenway Park in fecal matters.
2 outs, bottom of the 9th, man on second, Red Sox down by a run. Peter Griffin down to his last strike.
Geez, even in his fantasy he's almost getting struck out. I guess it's more for dramatic effects for the fake crowd that's definitely not just sitting on their phones right now. Everyone's probably passed out drunk already anyway.
Strike 3, and he knew it. Griffin will almost certainly be sent to AA Bristol.
So his dream is just crapping the bed during a big game and repeatedly getting sent farther down the minor leagues? Did anyone tell him that dreams were supposed to be good things? I guess if anything, this dream is highly achievable.
Strike three, and he knew it. Mr. Griffin, maybe it's time to try a different sport.
But Peter has gotten involved in real games before. His 3 Acts of God shows that he was once a Little League umpire, and it's strikingly clear why that didn't become more of a common thing for him.
Strike two! And Ricky, you have got the best ass on this field.
Well, I hardly see how that's relevant to the game. Also, that's just the padding in the pants. All baseball pants make you look like you're hauling a dump truck. The MLB was very adamant about all their players looking as caked up as possible while playing. Beats me why they did that, but there's a reason why this thing is considered the definitive American game. And it's clear just how much baseball means to Peter, as it actually drives him to hurt Lois when she gets in the way of his dream of playing a scrimmage at Fenway Park in Peter's lost youth.
I'm the type of player who arrives at the stadium in a suit, with a tie knot as big as an apple.
So Peter wins a trip to a fantasy baseball camp in Boston and decides to let Lois tag along since she can do some shopping or whatever it is she does in her spare time. I hear Boston has good groceries this time of year. But when she's invited to stay and be a part of the camp, Peter needs a little persuading to be okay with it.
Are you gonna let your wife play?
Absolutely. Lois, stay here and play with us. I can't say no to baby Boggs.
So this is what goes on in a professional baseball team's locker room. Kinda figured they were already dressing up like babies, so it's nice of the show to confirm that for me. But while this weekend was meant to be all about Peter, Lois quickly becomes the star of the show.
Guess you don't have a lot of babes out here. Except for Babe Ruth.
Pretty privilege really will let you get away with making the lamest jokes imaginable and still getting a laugh out of people. But it also helps that Lois is actually good at baseball, something Peter is surprisingly not. What do you mean all those years yelling at the TV from the couch about what you would have done differently didn't pay off?
Damn it, this is supposed to be my weekend.
Peter's frustrations with his wife end up completely boiling over when she starts receiving the VIP treatment, leading him to have no choice but to cut her legs out from under her. Literally. Well, okay, not literally, but kinda, in a metaphorical, literal way.
My only medical training is to say walk it off. Can you walk it off?
No.
Oh, well, that's not good.
See, that's why everyone's on steroids to prevent this. Sure, their heart explodes when they're 40, but at least it doesn't leave a gross bruise the rest of us have to look at. But this little stunt gets Peter kicked out of the camp and banned from the upcoming scrimmage game. Luckily for him, Lois is way more forgiving than she probably should be and convinces the coach to let Peter back on the team. Maybe a little public humiliation will be good for him.
Look, Dad's planking from like 8 years ago.
A few planks might have actually helped Peter not experience total muscle failure, but he figured just sitting up in bed was enough of a core workout. Who are we kidding? He's 100% a roll out of bed guy. So Peter musters all the inner energy he can and actually manages to run all 3 bases, mostly because everyone was preoccupied.
But nobody noticed, because the account manager from B of A who was playing third base had a massive coronary.
Hey, a run is a run, no matter how many people have to die to get it. But Peter's always kind of just been bad at baseball, even right down to his ability to throw a ball, which completely screws up his arm and pitch imperfect.
Are you okay? Your arm is backwards and feels very hot.
He's better than okay. This is the first time in his life he's been able to throw a decent pitch. Sure, his arm might have to be amputated, but you can't amputate a memory. I mean, you can. It's called a lobotomy. But let's just let the guy have his moment. He finally feels like a man and is looking to celebrate like a real man does.
Time for a victory lap. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. Is that how he really runs?
But you don't have to be in a major league to play, as you can even get some people together and play in a softball league, as seen in Save the Clam.
Now, is everybody drunk?
Yeah. Aye, completely.
So Peter and the gang make up a softball team representing the Drunken Clam, which is for some reason represented by a bird as their mascot. They do know a clam is an animal and not like a rock with a mushy inside, right?
So when you get the ball, throw it like a cannon. You must throw your arm out on every play.
And the team's playing against Mort's Pharmacy in the championship round. Mort isn't exactly known for his athleticism. I just think he's here for the sunflower seeds. But it turns out Mort has a ringer who just might help them secure the win.
What the hell, Jerome's on your team?
That's right. We got to know each other while I was following him around my store.
It's always funny to meet some truly great people through truly racist encounters. But this might prove to be quite the obstacle for the Drunken Clam, so they decide to take advantage of the metaphorical softballs being thrown at them, like when a girl steps up to the plate.
Everyone bring it in, bring it on in.
Get a hit, babe! You know it, babe.
All right, move it back, move it back.
The Clam actually manages to pull out ahead, needing just one more out in the bottom of the 7th to win the gold. Unfortunately, Jerome is up to bat. Rookie mistake not just walking the guy. A mistake that usually just costs a team the game, but in this instance, it costs a man his life.
Oh my God, he's really hurt bad. You're out of the baseline, by the way. You're out, game's over. But oh my God, Horace is really hurt.
I'm sure it's some baseball star's dream to die out in the field after giving it their all. Don't think many of them wish for it to happen on a tiny field in a residential neighborhood. I guess you can't always pick your deathbed, but sometimes you get to pick the people who will be around it.
Let's put some leaves on him and go get some ice cream.
And we jump now to basketball, one of the few sports that has actually produced a rather successful Griffin. Meg actually turns out to be quite the star when she's motivated by Peter's constant bullying, as seen in the episode White Meg Can't Jump.
Have you ever considered trying out for the girls' basketball team?
So Principal Shepard encourages Meg to put her wide frame to good use in something productive, like basketball. After all, she's sure to be a blocking machine. Meg kinda has her own force field that seems to repel anyone away from her. Could also be BO. But basketball takes more than just blocking people out. You may not know this, but shooting baskets is actually pretty important.
Yeah, no.
I've seen enough, Griffin. I guess I was wrong about you.
You can't be blamed, man. When you think of all the great basketball players of history, you picture them as short and chubby like the rest of us. But this looks like a good time for Peter to hurl some insults Meg's way. She's not down yet, but if you kick her enough, I'm sure she will be.
Hey, Meg, I can see you. Yeah, she looked.
She did look.
This makes Meg furious. Maybe it was because she spent so much time tucking, or maybe it's because she's tired of being seen as a punching bag in her father's eyes. But this newfound rage allows her to absolutely drain some buckets, earning her a place on the team.
Ow!
What happened to the Meg I saw in tryouts?
Well, like those funny little chemicals a lot of athletes take to perform, Meg also requires a heavy injection of Peter's insults, as she appears to be nothing without them. Kinda sounds like cope to justify years of emotional abuse, but you can turn a blind eye when cope delivers good results.
I just wanted to prove him wrong.
Well, there's your spinach, Popeye.
So the first game of the season rolls around and Meg is absolutely bombing. That is until Peter starts laying into her with all manner of criticisms and jabs.
Hey, Meg, this is the closest you're ever gonna get to hardwood.
It's a proud day in every father's life when their kid finds the one thing they're good at. Well, one thing you can be proud they're good at. Skinning the neighborhood cats isn't exactly one of those accomplishments you brag to your buddies about. But all that yelling starts to take a toll on Peter's voice, which becomes completely shot in the middle of one of her games.
Don't throw it to Griffin! She said...
Oh no, Peter lost his voice at just the worst time.
Someone should have told Karma that she can hold off on getting retribution on Peter, at least until after this game. So they decide to bring in a second string insulter in Quagmire, but suddenly the guy finds a conscience and won't repeat Peter's insults.
You're doing to this game what R. Kelly did to all the... Yeah, no, I'm not saying the rest of that.
Probably for the best. You're already on thin ice being in a room full of teenage girls as is. Luckily, Adam West High makes it to the championship finals, but if they're gonna win it, Meg's gonna need to sink these free throws, and Peter's gonna have to give her the business.
From the bottom of my heart, I wish we'd never had you.
That's something to unpack in family therapy later down the line, but for right now, it's just what Meg needs to score the final basket and bring the championship home. And who says that high school legacy doesn't last forever? Do you have your picture on the wall at Applebee's? I think not.
Woof. That was an historic season. Historic.
But sometimes Meg isn't really in the mood to play basketball, so she decides to get someone to take her place along with Chris, like in Catfight.
They had the Lost Boys of the Sudan standing in for them in gym class.
That's fair. It is pretty hard to distinguish who the real Meg is or not, mostly because no one ever lays eyes on her long enough to burn an image of what she looks like into their minds. Who cares if it's not really them if the results are this good? Might as well deport the rest of the class and import more of these giants.
Nice block, Griffin!
And a much enjoyed subgenre of basketball involves performing impressive trick shots, something Peter decides to overlay on a tribute to the deceased Adam West in Adam West High. As a content creator, sometimes you gotta do whatever you gotta do to get more eyes on your videos. And if that means splicing them into an in memoriam video for your beloved mayor, then so be it. You might find it to be in poor taste, but that just sounds like quitter talk to me. And seeing a basketball hoop just instills a primal urge to dunk something through it, even if you don't have a ball, much like Peter tries to do in Turkey Guys.
Let me just dunk the turkey once. I know I can jam it. Oh! That's not a regulation rim.
That's not a regulation basketball either. Come to think of it, your whole body is very much non-regulation. Why don't we just sweep this embarrassing moment under the rug and you promise never to try to perform an act of athletics ever again? But did you know that it was actually Peter's ancestor who invented basketball? As seen in One Foot in Front of the Mother, the game seemed to be originally designed to be played in slacks and only for a very specific group of people.
Now prepare to be dazzled by the most thrilling move in my game. Chest pass!
Back then, the most popular sport was competitive cigarette smoking, so this was a huge turning point for the world of sports. But being an invention created in a certain period of time, it was designed to work around the sensibilities of one particular group. But you can't spell basketball without all, though Peter's ancestor probably did his best to keep it close-knit for a while.
Hey, that looks like fun. Can I try?
No. Just us for a while.
But street basketball is a totally different beast. As Stewie demonstrates in Lethal Weapons, it's a game of hot asphalt and a lot of trash talk.
I know you're not putting that rock up from here. You ain't got no J.
I'm not sure what J is or how it pertains to how good your shot will be, but as long as it doesn't require me buying it from a sketchy car in the park, I'm willing to try anything once. But really, half the battle of these games is just talking smack, something Stewie is well versed in. Maybe just tone back the accent just a little bit. You can't be talking like that, white baby.
I don't sweat. You bring it on. Now how you gonna act? Phew, bringing that trash in here.
But let's slow things down with one of the slowest games known to mankind, golf. Unlike other sports like racing, which take place over many miles, golf takes 100 years to just complete one game as you traverse the greens on foot or in a very old golf cart. But it's a game for everybody, which is why Peter and Lois try to play together in Dr. C and the Women.
So what do I do? Just aim for the pond?
No, you're not supposed to hit it into the water.
But you hit it into the water.
You expect somebody to see a big body of water and not want to try and hit things in there? I get you're trying to make it look like the rolling hills of Scotland, but they're in Rhode Island. There should be boardwalks and rusty boats. Mini golf understood the assignment, and regular golf is still so many years behind.
Because it's fun! We're having fun! Ah!
Look, it went further than your ball.
And there's something about the calm, slow game of golf that just brings out the anger in people, as seen with Quagmire's numerous crash outs during a game in the Tan Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
God damn it! Come on! Come on! Come on, Glenn!
You know what? Fair. Being out on this course for hours is one thing, but not being able to get your ball on the green the entire time just makes the whole deal hellacious. It seems so simple. Hit ball and hole. What is it about mankind that just makes it so hard for things to get in the hole?
Oh, look, I just tapped my ball. Oh, just tapped it again. Oh, tap, tap, tap. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's in the hole.
Quagmire isn't the only one who keeps getting peeved off during this game. Joe's in the same boat. Mostly because Peter keeps making the same joke. You already know the one. It practically writes itself.
What's your handicap?
Every hole! That's a joke that just doesn't get old!
But Joe finds that he enjoys the game of golf much more when he has a pair of working legs, like in Let the Good Times Walk, even though that just means they'll be walking the whole course, something the guys don't enjoy as much.
We get to walk all 18 holes.
Sheesh, I don't even walk the mini golf course.
Look, if you had regained use of your legs and they looked like that, you'd probably want to get some steps in too. Those things look like they would snap if you attempted one whole stanky leg, so it makes sense why he wants to start building up some muscle. But a plus side to being out on the course is taking advantage of the snack cart. They've got everything you'd ever need and everything you'd never need.
You know what? Give me one of them clam chowders and a Baby Ruth.
The golf course also has pristine bathrooms, something I'm sure Cleveland is going to absolutely ruin as soon as they get back to the clubhouse. But the beating hot sun and the miles of hiking across the course aren't enough to put a damper on this day, surprisingly enough.
Okay, that's 17, but let's just call it 18 for legal reasons.
But golf presents a great platform to take your time and get to know someone, which is exactly what Peter ends up doing with maybe murderer O.J. Simpson in The Juice is Loose.
We're gonna be right here in the van if anything goes wrong. Just try to get O.J. talking about the murders.
So Joe hooks Peter up with a wire to see if they can catch an admittance from O.J., which seems like a pretty risky move. Can't they just talk about his slapstick work and the Naked Gun? Could a guy that goofy really be so bad? But Peter tries to squeeze a confession out of him through some subtle hints.
Sometimes I just feel like I could just stab her repeatedly. White women, huh?
In his defense, I'm pretty sure this is how most of those guys out on the course talk about their wives anyway. Something about this game really gets people thirsty for blood for some reason. It makes a UFC fight look like a cuddle pile. Unfortunately, this nicer, calmer game is quickly soured by a little feedback coming out of Peter's chest.
You're wearing a wire!
I am so murdered.
Well, it's not like you weren't about to be murdered on the course anyway. Simpson looks like a guy with a mean drive. But we're gonna say that mini golf definitely does count as golf in some capacity and might even be more fun, just so long as everyone keeps the vibe strong, unlike what we see in Hard Times at Adam West High.
Should have played through that birthday party. They're playing way too slow.
Leave it to Quagmire to take something meant to be fun and laid back and take it way too seriously. Honestly, you could probably say that about any activity with Quagmire. But mini golf is a game that deserves at least a little bit of respect, and those children having a fun and carefree birthday party deserve to be put in their place.
Could we please have some quiet on the greens?
But what's your favorite Family Guy sports moment? Let us know down in the comments, and if you liked this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see more.